I told you before, Dave, if you drink beer, you get desensitized, you know.
I've got to drown myself sometime.
It's true, actually. That's not a judgment that alcohol can inhibit your sensitivity, which as Dowsers you will probably know. In fact, with alcohol, it can increase them temporarily and then slow them down afterwards. It's a wide subject. I've had several conversations this evening already since I've been in here, and 20 years ago, anything to do with auras or dowsing or even healing was treated with a fair amount of mixtures of cynicism, contempt, ignorance, and it's a strange world where we, in my experience, are having an accelerated learning curve. There's an acceleration of influences on this planet, which is taking us forward in leaps and bounds at all sorts of different dimensional levels. And I do mean dimensional levels. We're going to be dealing mostly this evening with kind of earth plane levels, whatever they are, perhaps up to psychic spiritual levels, whatever they are. And as we were saying, there is a lot of claptrap talk. There's also a lot of gold in amongst all of that as well. I was reading in the Independent about a week, 10 days ago, about a well-known dowser called John Temple, and he had become a great healer. He's 80 now, and he looks as fit as a fiddle, real rugged complexion. Some of you look a bit pale for dowsers, I'm sure about that.
You're a very good brain car.
Dowsing for scrumpy and beer, I suppose, would be a side issue. I suppose you could go back talking about the aura back to early times, to people who have painted the saints and the great master initiates like Jesus and Buddha and so on. They have halos. They're painted in that way. It's a reflection of the aura. People who are great charismatics have an aura which actually goes in front of them. You can feel, you can sense if the person was arriving downstairs at the moment. There'd be a buzz in the room as you felt that energy, the extension of that person. More recently, people like Kirlian in photography, back in 1932 or thereabouts, used for special plates impregnated with purpley blue dye to photograph the aura, first of all in black and white and then later in colour. And it was found that people who were very energetic, they used their hands quite a lot, easy thing to photograph, really strong auric colours around the hands. Unless people were unwell, ill, then it receded, and sometimes there were breaks, either in the aura around the hands or around the body when they got that well developed. Keenan also developed kind of a glass, again with a purple dye on it, that you could look through, and if you backlit somebody and looked through this glass, you could see the auric colours there. I first became interested because I read quite a few books on the aura, and all these wonderful drawings of floating pink here and lovely mauve and gold there, and I put these books together and none of them matched up. So I thought, well, I'll do it myself, and I set up a workshop, and it worked. People could actually have their own idea of what the aura is. And my perception of the aura, and it will look slightly different to different people. There is no precise right and wrong. There is, the truth and not the truth, but there's no right and wrong. Because we're all individuals, we all vibrate slightly differently. We send out a different note, a slightly different song, if you like. And that is true, and scientists are coming around to believe that as well. And it's an obvious truth. Everything is made up of molecules. This table is not solid at all. There's more space than there is wood, and we're beginning to understand that. We are 90% water and a lot of space, so there's not really much to us either. That's why they've said of me he's got water on the brain. But back to the aura, I decided that in looking at people, first of all, to look at the energy centers. We assume that we have a physical body and we have an etheric body, which works at a slightly different vibration than the physical body. Nevertheless, it is there. And an etheric body is what it says. It is a body that is much lighter in texture than our own body, but it is almost a double of ourselves. And it works in a kind of electromagnetic kind of realms there. And we connect with that etheric body through the 7 main energy centers. One, red, is at the base of the spine, and that is to do with energy that both grounds us, but also picks up energy, earth energy if you like, and feeds to the other energy centers, and it's forward moving energy. It's also to do with a libido, to do with sexual identity, but from my viewpoint, it is to do with forward moving energy. And I'm going to talk first of all to do with healing. All right, I have to stop talking about things in general. I'm talking about healing, and when I work with colour, with people, I sense different facets of that person's health in different places. So the first one at the base of the spine, or the sacral centre at the bottom, near the bottom of the spine, is red, which is to do with forward moving energy in a healing sense. So that somebody who is kind of lost it will have a deeper red. It will be slower moving, because these energies rotate and pass on energy through the body, through the physical body, back to the etheric, to that particular chakra or energy center, and through to the etheric body, and back to the physical body, and so on. So that's why the cells in most of our body, with the exception of the brain and a few other things, get regenerated. And above that, at the spleen center, that takes in the spleen, the kidneys, the liver, to some extent the stomach and the pancreas, is orange, the next one up. And so we're actually dealing with colours of the rainbow here as well. Red vibrating at the lowest vibration, and violet with the highest vibration. And at the spleen center, it's to do with general health, the immune system also. You pick up the lymphatic system there. If somebody has had a cold or flu or whatever, when you're looking at that energy center, you often see granulations in that center. Bits of detritus, accretions, battles that the immune system has gone through, which is reflected in the aura in that particular center. Next, and I'm going to go whiz through these quite quickly, because I feel that it's much better if you're working with me rather than just listening to me. You'll be relieved to know. At the solar plexus here is solar energy, where we take in solar energy, the plexus of nerves. So it's responsible for the nervous system. And if somebody has really overstretched themselves, it really looks fine. In fact, sometimes you see it as both a colour, but you can actually perceive striations within that colour as well. And sometimes when you're really psychically in attunement, you can see symbols, which isn't actually in the body, but something else is saying, we can symbolize it like this, to give you keys to say what is wrong with that person. Again, if that person is really slow down, you may see that as more of a kind of an orangey yellow. So there's all these different tones and shades of colour, and not just a colour. There's no such thing as a colour really, is there? You can't just say yellow. If some person might think of a canary yellow and somebody else an orangey yellow, and so on. Above that, at the heart centre here, is the emotional balance. But looking at it from a healing point of view, it is possible to see it a dark green, or a lighter green, or a very, very almost yellow green. And from a healing point of view, it's actually from a healing point of view and a general auric point of view, the emotion is in common there, because the emotions have a lot to do with how we feel about ourselves and the world that we live in. And so if you have had an emotional trauma, again you'll see large areas of darker shades in the aura of that. Somebody who has had to emotionally protect themselves, sometimes you will see the green there with a gold kind of protection around it, almost like an encapsulation there. And for healing, also you may see kind of sparks of energy. If there is something physically wrong with the heart, there's sometimes coruscations, inequalities, swirls of energy around that centre, which means to say the physical heart itself needs something doing to it. And I wish I had a reading about 7 years ago when I had a heart attack, and I put it off. But anyway, that was a spiritual experience that I'm grateful for, believe it or not. So above that again is this important centre here, the throat centre, which is blue. And again, slothfulness, things that slow us down are reflected here. And, I've got healing stuff, I've got ordinary stuff coming in here now, but I'm trying to stick to stuff that, it's just to do with healing. This, in association with the pituitary, governs our actions, our movements. You know, people who've got an underactive thyroid move more slowly. It affects the circulation. An overactive thyroid unbalances lots of other things, and they actually become quite unbalanced from there. Here, people call the third eye. It's controlled by the pineal gland. It's to do with your pathway, the ability to look forward. And I'm not talking about clairvoyance now, I'm talking about ordinary people, as it were, who can become befogged if they can't see the hand in front of their face. It is because this centre is underactive. So things have gone wrong and unbalanced them here. They can't look forward with hope. They can't feel the sunshine. They can't actually feel good about what's going on in the future, because they're dragging a lot of past stuff with them, and they're bringing it into the future, which is into their present, which is clouding the future. So this is the sixth centre here, and at the top here, the crown centre, mine's pretty clear. I've got my shadow covering, so you can see it pretty clearly. The crown centre here, which is violet, and this is indigo, by the way, here, and violet here. And this is kind of basically to do with truth and trust and faith and loyalty on one hand, and on the other hand, as far as healing goes, it's very often one that's been injured, had severe attacks, people have been manipulated, moved around. If they're really confident, there's clouds and clouds and clouds of this violet here. So that's kind of general. I know it's very general, but I'm going to do some sensitization exercises with you to put some more meaning to that. Basically, if we're looking at the general aura and doing a psychic reading, I have to come into a different attunement. So I attune myself, I'm not exactly sure of the process, to be quite honest with you, except if I'm healing somebody, I think healing. And I've got a couch there, and I go into healing mode. If I'm doing a private sitting, which is to do with the past, present, and future of that person, I go into a different mode. And I look at the person sitting there, look at the red. I actually look at the side of the person, because if I was doing a reading on Dave and it's got so much red on there, it might distract from exactly the shade and tone that I want to pick up with that red colour. And so, if I'm looking at the red, then at the base of the spine, I'm seeing that person, sometimes the past. Very often, if I'm looking at a red, I'm picking up, I'll come to this lady here, I'm picking up, I've got a crossroads in there, so you've got some decision making to do, is that right?
Watch for it.
Right, well, I'm tuning into you see. And you're probably tuning into me. It's inevitable. It's what human relationships are about, tuning into people. That's why when you rub somebody up the wrong way, it's actually rubbing against their aura. Their aura is out of harmony with your aura. You don't physically rub them, but your auras touch. My aura is touching here and here at the moment quite closely. But if I can go back to this lady, so this crossroads that's coming up there, so I'm just looking at the red at the base of the spine there, and there's quite a few coruscations there as well coming out of that red, which means to say that there's either been anger around her or sadness or tearfulness, but a lot of stuff's been thrown around there, and it's very difficult to get that back into balance. Is that okay? You're all going to be doing this, isn't it? I'm not working on my own. And you see, there's some happiness that needs to be there, because this is going back into the past now, because I can see that skipping and hopping, but she was very, very much younger then, and that's what she wants back in her life. She's lost the humour, she's lost that skip, and we all actually need that childlike part of us. It's not immaturity, it's that childlike part of us. People who get very cynical are people who have lost that childlike ability just to join in. You know, that's why we have children. It's part of the learning, to think 3 o'clock in the morning, be quiet. But it's that ability that's passed on, actually passed back to us, that, you know, those of you, and most of you have had children or even grandchildren, that lovely feeling when you went back to the park again, you know, with the children, and you thought, this is great, you can actually get on the swing yourself or the roundabout yourself. This is what this lady needs back in her life there. She needs a whole lot of stuff lifted, because there seems to be quite a lovely, happy period in her youth there, where everything was trust, and there's lots of trust here, isn't there? There's a lot of trust here, and you've been actually thinking back to that. Now, I can go on quite a long time with the red there, but I've got to get you working. I'd love a glass of water. Is there any water or gin and tonic or something? No, I don't want gin and tonic, but is there any water around? Water is fine. Water. Any. It can fizz, be still, it can... Thanks very much. Move around. It's the Aquarian age coming up anyway. And then if I go up into the... Actually, she has got all these colours on, so I'm looking at the side there. The orange there is... It is quite granulated. She has not felt physically well, this lady. Her immune system has been quite suppressed there, and it's not as if she's had a huge bout of food, but there's like, you know, that sort of heady feeling that seems to hang on and drag you down, and that's what's been happening to you, isn't it, there? Yeah. Okay, so that's there, and certainly she's been so tired this day as well. I can see that there in the yellow here, but once she's had energy, she's gone, I feel all right. And then, wow, she's gone back to bed, sat down, felt totally exhausted. And so that needs really an overall cleansing there. At the heart centre, you see this, like many people, this lady has got a large heart centre, but it's been leaking away, it's been leaking energy away. She's been given it here, there, and everywhere, and some of it's been stolen. All right, and you've been let down because it's been stolen, and it wasn't taken in the right manner. Your emotions were messed about with, basically. You were manipulated, and there's an awful lot of sorrow in that. That you need re-empowering. You know, that's what you need, is re-empowering, and thank you, Jeeves.
That'll be a kind of
Oh, well, I won't do your aura then. So there we are. And of course what this does automatically, if we look at the throat centre there, it gets bottled up, it gets tied up. It actually looks as if it's kind of in chains, imprisoned. And so you don't express yourself as you would. You don't express yourself clearly. you feel closed down, communication, we retreat. We've all done this, everybody without exception. There's the phone, I don't want to answer it. You answer it. Or I'll let it ring, I'll go and, out of the way. That's true, isn't it? We've all done that. Any liars here? Right, I'll sort you out later. So that's that. And when that centre gets empowered, when that communication centre begins to build again, we then start to feel better about ourselves. And so if I was doing healing here, then it would be very gentle healing, although you can put colour into centres in different ways. I sometimes use the feet and do a whole series of stuff through the body to these different centres from the feet. And there's a blockage there. This lady's still got this blockage, so there's something around you that is still there.
I know there's a blockage, but I can't get it moved.
Right, okay. You might do after this evening, actually.
Is it right? I can't.
Well, I'm delighted.
I don't mind
It is lovely. It is lovely because a lady earlier said we sat down, must be 3 or 4 months ago at least when I was here, and she said all the stuff that you gave me that turned out, and she was really, really down low. She said, and she told me a dream actually, and translated the dream, and it all turned out to be absolutely spot on, which is nice to know. It's lovely when that happens. It doesn't happen very often when people you're actually in a position where people say thank you. So that blockage that is there is kind of it's a multiplicity of things. It is on part of you doesn't want to accept certain things that have has gone wrong, but our reason says, well, maybe it'll change. It won't. All right, it won't. I'm telling you, it won't. So you're holding on to some stuff that you need to let go of, basically, as well. And you need to stop beating your head against a brick wall. You need just to... it's almost like, those things we did when we were children, turn around 3 times, close your eyes and touch the floor. Right? That's what you want to do back, and kind of wish it away and put it in the past where it rightfully belongs. And that's what needs to happen. And but you're still a little way away from just breaking through that wall and breaking and carrying on with your life.
I'm having to examine things because they're having to be exposed, and hopefully I'm stitching, but I'm having to go through that at the moment. It's perfect what you're saying. I'm going to give it absolutely.
Right, great.
Yeah.
Well, this will be helping that, because whenever, in truth, we converse with somebody, communicate with somebody at a deep level, what you do is actually exchange energies. We're exchanging energies now, on this healing level. We're also exchanging energies at a vocal level as well, right? And all you Dowsers know about energies, because that's what you tune into, different energies, whether it's tin or iron or water or whatever. It's just that I'm kind of tuning into human energies now, all right? And you just think of it, if water has got that energy that you can douse it from a fair old distance, just think of the energies that we have, the complexity of our energies, the abilities we have, the different levels that we work at. Water may work at 1 or 2 levels. We automatically work at so many different levels. There's an enormous amount of energy. So if you're tuning into that, then as some of the great Dowsers, I was reading about John Temple in the Independent, and he has done some amazing work. I think he used pendulums quite a lot. Some homeopaths use pendulums as well. It's a form of dowsing, isn't it? Well, it is dowsing. It's not even a form of dowsing. It is dowsing. Is that dowsing?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So this lady then here, right, we're here. Now this is quite interesting, looking at the third eye here, and I said it was about the future, when we're doing a general look there. It's quite interesting. It's been kind of, I can see indigo there. It's quite a swirly thing. It's, what do you know about dolphins? You love dolphins, yeah, because I can see with this swirl, there's a dolphin going wee around here. It's strange how people have got tuned into dolphins as well for healing and all sorts
I've
of...
got some meditation I'm doing with dolphins.
Right,
I go to the light.
right. See, I can read your mind. You actually, even if you have the ability to read minds, never do it, because if you're tuning in for a specific reason, you tune in for that reason, and it's always to empower people, and it's always to help people, and it's not to kind of tell tales out of school. And if it was, I would have a different aura myself, you know. But we go out there, and there's a pathway there that half of which is lit. It's really almost schizophrenic. I don't mean you're schizophrenic by any means at all, but it's almost that way, where half of it is full of light and sunshine, and the other half is raining, thunder, lightning, everything going on there. It's really quite strange. And I think that represents that wall that you're pushing against, that thing that you're trying to open up. And I've got a mandala there as well. Do you know mandalas? These kind of, it's a bit like a dream catcher, right? You know about dream catchers? Yeah. And mandalas are a bit similar to that. It's a mandala. It's got a cross in it. It's really weird. It's got a kind of a cross and then another cross in it, and it's waiting around for you to tune into. I don't sell them. It's all right. I'm not trying to sell them. but it's there. There's a mandala there. It really works well with you. And it probably goes under, I can tune into this lady, and I know you've all come across North American Indian this and that and the other, but she really has had, and I think she knows something about a North American Indian past life. Is that right?
Yeah.
Right. We haven't worked this out beforehand, has it?
This is the first time I've been.
That's nice. So that's what that mandala tunes into. Because she used to wear, because you can get mandalas for different purposes, for protection, personal, group, tribal, all sorts of things. And so I can see this particular personal mandala that she used to wear here. And it's to do with web energy. That's what that is to do with. And by web energy, I mean being in the centre of a whole network. Right? It's nothing to do with trapping anybody, but it's to do with a whole network. And you were in a centre of a network. And that network was to do. I'm coming away from. That network was to do with people. Ah, right. You were what do they call them? What was Kunta Kinte? You know, go back in time, a history speaker. You spoke of past history, the history of the tribe, an oral tradition there, right? And that's what that meant. A truth speaker, a history speaker as well. Yeah, I'll have to go into this in a bit more detail with you later on. And so I'm going to go now from that centre to the Crown Centre, and a lot of violet there, and there's some real chasms, like somebody took the mad axe offender kind of took an axe and went sliced down there. But that's just beginning to heal in. That's just beginning to heal in and close up. And I've got a rose there, so that for me is June, and a very meaningful thing for you as well, right? So I've got a rose there, and I'm not doing clairvoyance, I'm just seeing this in the aura, because everything that we have done and do and think about is reflected in the aura. So if you're reading the aura properly, you can't go wrong. The only thing that English people have, and there's a lot of Welsh and Irish in me, so I'm all right, is to talk about it. You know, that is the one thing. I can do workshops all around the country, and people won't talk. It sounds a strange thing, but they won't. They actually, they've got it there, and they just won't talk. So after we've done some sensitization, can I just say, you know, wherever you feel most comfortable, do talk about what you see, what you sense, what you feel. And as you were saying, the gentleman over there, somebody asked this gentleman about, can everybody douse? And he said, well, if they say they can't douse, they won't be able to douse. You know, and it's the same with anything. If you think you can't see the aura, you won't see the aura. If you say,
But if you can see aura, you
Can I what?
Can you see your own aura?
I can feel it. I can't see it.
You can't see the colours of yourself?
No. Other people can do that. It's actually an impossibility because you are part of your own aura. You know, you just can't. You'd have to sort of. I suppose if you extended your eyes out on rods, a couple of dowsing rods, and look back at yourself. Not even in a mirror. No. Because even in a mirror, it's all part of you. Whatever you're seeing is a reflection of yourself. And I suppose some people can. I can't anyway. You know, I can feel the aura. I can feel the energy I'm generating at the moment. I can feel the energy building up. As I've been talking, there's been more and more energy building up. And I can feel that when I'm doing that with my hands, there's energy being flung out in directions as well. But that's the closer. So I'll just finalise with this lady again. So that's being given. Oh right, it's been given to me now as if it's been carefully stitched together. All right, stitched together. And I won't go into grandmothers and things like that because that would be doing clever ones. But she was very good at stitching samplers and stuff like that, wasn't she? Tapestry or something. Tapestry work, very close work. All right, so there we are. So we all have the ability to do this in some degree. Obviously, it takes time to tune in more finely, more closely. But what I would like you to do first of all, can you kind of just close your eyes? Just close your eyes. I'm going to close mine as well. And try and remember this tabletop is loose. So close your eyes and let's do an experiment. Close your eyes and imagine this room is flooded in red light, totally flooded with red light. So that wherever you look, at the floor, at the ceiling, at your hands, at the person next to you, there's just reflections of red light everywhere. You can't avoid it. Everywhere you look is just red, red, red. And can you think of a word or two that would describe how this makes you feel? Well, we'll come to individuals in a minute. Okay, we'll just leave you in that red room for a little bit longer. Looking around, red windows, red ceiling, red floor, red chairs, red light, red. Just a word or two and I'll come round to individuals in a minute. And okay, just gradually let yourself come back into this room and open your eyes. It's quite strange that. I automatically, because I do a lot of meditation, I automatically close my eyes with you. So I wasn't watching you. But I always find it just a little bit difficult to come back. I get immersed in that. I don't know if any of you found that, but it's quite intriguing. A word or two. What did you feel?
Nothing.
Right. I knew this guy was a cynic, by the way. I'm not kidding you. I knew this guy was a complete cynic. It's in his aura there. It's in his aura there. For him to kind of believe a word I say, I'd have to have kind of the word on a sort of a spear and hammer it into his skull. It's true.
Roger.
Rosy warm. That's interesting. Very warm. Right, we've got warm.
Agreed, excited,
Active and excited, right?
Messy.
Messy. Messy. Messy. Right. So you're lacking focus and balance at the moment. That's what your energy isn't going in one particular direction, it's going in all different directions. Right? And you need to bring that in, focus it in a direction. So that's some mental stuff that you have to do to sort out. Alright? Sir?
nothing at all.
You didn't feel anything? Scary. Right, nice one. Sunset, okay?
No, I can see a face.
Do you? Right. More? More? Comfortable?
Love and war.
Love and more, yeah. You have what is it? It's usually men who are far more difficult to convince than women. Women have got natural, much more natural ability. Most of women would make better dowsers than men. And I know I'm offending all the male chauvinist men, but it's true. It is actually true. I've worked in this field for 15 years. And if you run workshops, if you do meditation, if you do channeling, you can do a whole plethora of activities. 3/4 of least of the participants will be women. There's lots of reasons for that, but they have a much more natural heightened sixth sense than men do. It's that men were more material and they made money out of dowsing, finding the water, finding the oil and all the rest of it. But however, the whole gamut, because when I was looking at this lady's, the red there, there was a whole different range of feelings, connotations that I was drawing from that. And the same with red. On one polarity of red, it's kind of war, anger, running away. On the other, it's warm, relaxed, sunny, those sorts of feelings, and of course lots of different ones. But it has meaning. Colour has meaning. If it didn't have meaning, we wouldn't be wearing all these different colours that all of you are wearing today. It wouldn't mean anything, therefore you'll be dressed in grey, I guess, or brown or something. The colours have meaning in flowers and what we wear. And of course we live in an environment, they was saying, you know, with the sun's rays, when you split it up, the 7 red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, they're there. We live in that, it is just part of our environment. So it's bound to have meaning. Let's try one more before we go on, because then I'd like to get round to more of a healing rather than a general order thing. So let's really try hard together. Why are you shaking your head? You see, this guy is shaking his head. He doesn't want to do it. I find that really strange. I thought, you know, most people have an open, creative mind, but he's shaking his head already. Why are you shaking your head? Ah, you were. Let's try. Let's really try this one, all right? So we can close our eyes then and relax. And picture a room that is full with green. Totally green everywhere. Green walls, green ceiling, green chairs. If you looked at your hand, it would reflect green light. Totally flooded with green. Right now, think of a word or two that might describe how that feels to you, that green that you're seeing and sensing there, how that feels to you. And then when you have completed that, then open your eyes and just relax. Let's have a few different people in that. Can I ask you over there? What did you say?
I'm in the sea.
You were in the sea? All right, right. All right. That links up with it actually does link up because you can have the green sea, of course you can. And green, if you see a lot of green, and you do go outdoors a lot, I know you do. Not because what you told me, but I can see that you do. And that's freedom. In fact, you probably prefer it out there than talking to a lot of people. So what do you feel?
The green juice is free.
Right, okay. So that was very positive green. Very positive green. Who haven't I asked here? I don't want to ask somebody twice but I can help it. You felt energy. Staying here? No, right. I'm finding it difficult at the moment to hold a lot. You actually need quite a lot of healing. You know, you need energy. You need to be walking a lot taller than you are at the moment as well. Did I ask you before? I'm asking you this now. What does you feel?
A sort of peace for a journey.
Oh, peace and journey. Right. That's actually taking that a little bit further, which is nice. What did you feel? Your fields. Were you walking on them or part of them? Right. That's lovely. Yeah. Makes a difference. Makes a difference. You're integrated with nature, is what you're saying. What about here? Right. Yeah. Right. Did anybody get a kind of a downbeat feeling? Did you think how did you? Right. What did you feel?
Yucky, because I took him literally when he said he had to write in the room. And I first thought it was like a green hat, but then very quickly in the living room with pale green walls.
Oh, right.
Spring light. And then sort of the green light shining off someone's face. It's like they were feeling that.
Right. So they looked a bit alien, really. Yeah. We had the Mekong. Anybody remember the Mekong from the Eagle? Who else had a bit of a downbeat feeling? What did you feel?
Uneasy.
Right, you felt uneasy. That's fine.
I thought it was
Right. Okay. You need to talk to this lady. Okay, so again there are different tones and shades of whatever colour we choose. And green is one of those funny, well they're all kind of funny colours. If you have a kind of a medium green or green you're quite pleased with it, it does very often mean emotional balance, it means ongoing creative energies. If it gets too, beware of this one, if it gets really yellowy, yucky kind of green, it's the green-eyed monster of jealousy. That's what that one is. If it's really deep green too, it's quite a depressive green. It's quite a depressive green, quite an unbalanced green. And that needs picking up, that needs sorting out, that means bringing light into it and sorting through. Now, how are we doing for time? Because I want to get something else in, I never wear a watch. Right. So, can we go for another 10 minutes? Is that all right? You bored yet? Yeah. Right, fine. I want to look at some kind of healing colour now. And what I would like you to do, because if I had time, I would like to get little groups with you and put them together. And it is surprising that people can say, well, I can't really see it, but I can sense, if you've been a bit down in the dumps, because I can see this deep blue or this deep green and so on. And you can do that, you really can do that. We won't have time now, perhaps we will after the break, because I want to get on to the healing side. I promised to talk about that aspect as well as the general aura. And actually, if some of you kind of practice, if you need kind of less light and just almost half-closed eyes so that you begin to sense people in a different way. You all sense people in a general way because you look at the general aura, but you can fine-tune that just by closing your eyes down a little bit and saying, oh, he's got green on his shoulders. Now, why have I got green on his shoulders there? Because she seems to have a very healing quality. I'm not seeing blue, but which is very often what you see here, or nurses and doctors and counsellors have a lot of orange here as well, a very healing thing. But seeing blue, do you work with, have you done emotional work with people? No, not officially. Told God about this. I wasn't meaning officially at all. I was meaning that you work with people in family or friends and things like that, and you help them out emotionally. Thank you. She's a very modest, humble lady, this one, isn't she? And I'm glad you came to her. Right, so you can see it, you see. And what I would like you to think about now is that, of course, has a relationship with people's health. The general aura and the more specific aura when you're looking for health. And, there's no such thing as a 100% fit human being or a normal human being. They don't exist. They're figments of imagination. They're statistics, that's all. And there's always something wrong with somebody. It doesn't matter if they've got an aching big toe, that they've broken their back, or a more serious thing. And very often you can, right, I don't know, could you just stand here with me? Now this is a pretty healthy lady we've got here. How do I sit down now? No, don't. But just kind of look ahead, and you can actually, right, what energy? Maybe energy coming out here. Anybody, you don't have to have any. There's a lot of energy. Very energetic lady. There's a lot of energy. Those of you looking at auras, you can look at this aura. It's really nice. A lot of things in this aura as well. This is a very, very shorthand way, given the right. She's had sometime just recently. She's had a bit of tension across the shoulders here, and the back of the neck. It's not a long, ongoing thing, but she seems to have had that tension there.
Oh, I'd say that it would be ongoing.
Oh, right.
The recurring problem.
Oh, it is a recurrent problem, okay. But just picking that up there, just by tuning into this lady. And if I'm a little bit out, it's because I'm trying to tune into all of you as well, So that's right.
How do you know that it's mine and I'm not getting something from yours?
Because it can't work that way. It's just impossible. Because energy is coming through me to you, and I'm getting some feedback from that through here as well. All right. So it can't be mine. And also, by the same token, I can't pass anything on to you. If I'm not feeling well, what happens to me, and I have done healing when I'm not feeling too good, but I just get picked up, because there is infinite energy out there. It's probably going to be one of the questions after the break. There is infinite energy that we can travel, and you can call that energy cosmic force, you can call it God, you can call it love, whatever. Very positive energies there that we can utilize to fine-tune ourselves to somebody and get that feedback. All right. A lot of people, though, can be very, very good healers without knowing that. For example, if they had their hands here and were doing this, they may not know that she had a lot of tension here and some headaches from it, but it'd still be healing. I said there's no right or wrong. If you're doing healing, you're doing healing. And, right, so. Pelvic. I thought you were fit. I'm starting to choose you now. It's so easy. But, okay, bit of a pelvic tilt, something like that there, something to do with the base of the spine, and that's it's coming up from there.
Well, I had a pain in the left side this morning, my back for about a month.
Have you?
Since I got back from the States.
Right.
And apparently someone told me that it's very easy to get dehydrated in kidney stones and things.
Right.
If there's nothing to do.
I can't feel kidney stones, but I can feel a bit of a tilt in your pelvis. And it seems to go right down to the, sort of almost coccygeal sacral area, right down here and all the way up here to here. Right. And it would have surprised me if you hadn't had, like many people do, a little jerk like that, like getting in and out of a car, people put their backs out for months sometimes. It feels like one of those to me. All right? All right, thanks very much. Thanks. I'm going to leave it there because I want you to try and, could you kind of stand and opposite somebody or sideways onto somebody and label yourselves A and B, please. On your feet, come on. Oh, we have got to do something, haven't we? I came to be entertained, I did. What cheap, you're asking us to work. All right, now, you stop talking. Right, you stop talking. I really mean stop talking, not even whispering. Just one of you choose Stand aside. Sorry I shouted at you. It's actually trying to get an awful lot done, you know, covering a huge area in a very short space of time. So, you know, you kind of want the right conditions for whatever you're doing very, very quickly, which is a bit unfair. Perhaps I should have, you know, just taken just one aspect rather than two aspects. But I do tend to get carried away, and because I do a lot of healing and work with that, then you do tend to get out of the humorous mode and into, just like that, into the more serious mode of healing, because it's a very kind of serious subject. I hope, you know, John hasn't said to Mary, well, no, I think you've got someone in your ear at all, actually, isn't it? You know? What you have discovered in that, you can discuss for yourself, because officially in healing anyway, you're not allowed to diagnose, for example, just do the healing. But this is kind of an experiment that you've allowed yourselves into, just to become more sensitive and aware of not how capable I am, but how capable you are. And we've only just, you know, just touched the edge of the pathway there. There was a wonderful feeling there when it was quiet and you were all doing healing. We don't do that in our lives, you know. We just don't do it. Or very few of us do it. Just giving that 3 or 4 or 5 minutes to somebody else, just to focus on somebody else, to see how they are, you know. And just by giving that amount of time, you are and commitment to that person, you are actually doing healing on them. Whether you saw anything, sensed anything, felt anything, doesn't give it a job. If you get committed for 4 or 5 minutes to actually tuning into somebody and thinking in a healing way, it's, oh, I wonder what's wrong with this person. The energy is that you, I want to go to my friend here. Really? Is that true? Copy anything? Oh, is that amazing? Let's choose somebody else. So, eat through the neck there, which probably means that he's had a bit of a jar, possibly had a bit of a jar there. So, just giving that time and effort and sharing, or us sharing that together, has probably changed the way we look at things somewhat. For some people, maybe quite a lot. For some people, very little. But it would have changed. It would have changed my perception of people who come to Dowsing meetings, you know, because I've been to one, I think, before, I don't know, 19 or 20 or something like that. But they weren't all Dowsers, actually, were they? There were some, I think it was a nurse or two or something in there.
Most of them could douse or something.
Yeah, but most of them could douse. But it's quite interesting trying to open people's perceptions to the fact that they are far more capable of doing things under the right conditions than they think. And hopefully some of that will have percolated through and your perceptions will have been altered somewhat, so that maybe you will take a step in that direction. After the break, I'll be able to question and answer. But anyway, thank you for sharing this hour and whatever it is, hour and 10 minutes with me. And I'll see you after the break. Thank you. Do you know, it doesn't very often happen. I thought I brought enough books, but there's apparently a list somewhere for that's going around for people who haven't got a book or putting their names down. And you'll still get it at the discounted rate. It'll probably be £5 plus about £1 for postage and packing. Okay, so we'll take care of that later. But questions and answers come up. There's so many, I know, that so it's something I have to kind of, I'll have to stop myself instead of going on too long with an answer to a question. I haven't got all the answers, I'll do my best. If I don't know the complete answer, then I'll have to go and kind of, ask one of the guides or, the man who does, equivalent to the boss of the AA. A great mind, a great white father. There's all the answers are there. Guess that.
What is a good exercise for training our eyes to see the colours?
Exercise meditation, which is simply taking yourself into a quiet place, the same place. You do tend to build up energy and a very settled area. If you go, with the same chair in the same room, there's no big deal about it, but you add it into your mental itinerary that this is quiet time here, and therefore you key more and more easily into that quiet time. And if you imagine red opening up at the base of the spine through to violet, and then going on your own personal meditation, and that can involve sending out thoughts or prayers for other people who need it. It can take you on a journey to wherever, a quiet place by a river, an emerald isle, a crystal palace, whatever. And then at the end, close, just think, close all the way down. The mere fact actually of focusing on opening, and some people, you visualize it in the way that you can visualize it. I've just seen colour. Some people have a red rose there, and then a kind of an orange marigold, and then a yellow daffodil. The Buddhist Tibetans, they have shapes and so on, triangles and what have you. But try and envisage the colours there, but do close down. And don't ever meditate, because you can go quite deeply into meditation. You can go quite far out, and a sudden banging of a door, believe me, it can give you a headache for about 3 or 4 days, and it can really throw yourself. So it really needs to be a place where you are not going to be interrupted, at least by really heavy sounds of any sort at all.
So what do you mean by closing down? So closing down?
Well, just visualise at the base of the spine. It's actually in the book there, I think. A colour just growing. A colour just growing. Because in my experience, what you're doing is you're sending out a combination of those colours. You're sending out a signal anyway. Or at least you are accentuating the signal that you are. I have another experience that each of those energy centres is governed by a planet. So if you get in attunement with the base of the spout, Mars, yes, yeah, and then Jupiter, Saturn, Venus, Mercury, Neptune, and Uranus, yeah. But there are smaller energy centres in your body, and sometimes we use another 2 above as well, Pluto and the solar locus there. So it's just visualising that colour expanding, and then coming into balance, each one with the other. And by the time you've done that, you've forgotten about feeding the baby, doing the vacuum cleaning, the hell you had at work, and that gets rid of all that extraneous thoughts anyway, because you've concentrated on that, and you've tuned yourself in, and you're in a relaxed state to meditate. But do remember just to close them down, because what you're doing then is bringing yourself back into the physical world, away from the, if you like, the etheric world, the spiritual world, the cosmic world, wherever you've been. Because with focus and the right conditions, we have, beside this body, 6 other bodies that can be used for various purposes, that are more and more and more fine and finer and finer and finer bodies. So but the spiritual world isn't very far away, and you can go really beyond that and get into other dimensions. And that's when somebody said, he was talking to somebody talking about the 47th dimension or something. But you can get towards sort of 5th dimensional experiences. But got a long way to go to 47.
Is it possible to take a photograph with a modern camera of the actual aura on your, when you body off your hand?
Yes. Psychic fairs now, I mean, they go beyond kirlian photography. They plug a kind of an anode to the wrist here. I don't know how accurate these things are, and they shoot some photography, and there you are, you with an aura around you, and it actually prints out the colour of the aura. Most of the ones I saw were actually greeny yellow, and I didn't know what that meant, so I didn't have mine done. Kirlian photography can be quite accurate.
Can I do it myself, I mean, at home, or is it special camera, special film?
Well, no, yeah, you have to buy the special plates for Kirlian photography, and the equipment for the electrical thing is very expensive. But it is around, there's a psychic fair that you can have it in June 16th, 17th, 18th, around there. It's that weekend anyway, and it just amazes me, all the scientists are taking over. My high guide outline, who was on the front of that book there, said that actually the scientists and the psychics are coming together more and more and more, and being mutually supportive, and it seems to me that that's been happening, certainly over the last 3 or 4 years particularly, and that it will go on. There are books like The Orion Mystery and The Mayan Prophecies, which would never have been put together if the guys like Robert Bauval hadn't been good scientists and psychically gifted as well. They put the two things together. They would never have fitted the bits of the jigsaw together if they hadn't used both of those things. No, I had this gentleman here I've got to come to next. Yes, sir.
Some people purport to heal by the laying on of hands. Right? Now, when they lay hands on a person with, say, an ulcer of the stomach, some of them say that they, once they take their hands away from the body, can feel in their own stomach a pain.
Right.
Do you get that when you go to the aura rather than the full contact with the body?
Well, I do both. I use the aura and I lay my hands on very, very gently, very, very gentle touch. I have never known that specific instance where presumably the healing process has started, so that's what's caused the pain. You know, because very often when there is a healing process, there is a
you experience the pain. It's transferred from them to you.
No. I think that is, in my experience, and I must say to people, you know, I'm not saying this is right or that is wrong. All we can do in these fields is talk about our own experience with honesty, not about somebody else's experience. As far as I am concerned, there is a healing energy that goes through, that we are, if you like, a transformer and a transducer of that energy, and that the right vibration is used for that particular complaint with that particular person. Now, there are some people, and it's called magnetic healing, who use their own energy, right? It's very debilitating because you're not using energy that's passing through you. You know, if I actually was using magnetic energy now, my own energy, I think I'd have fallen on the floor with a headache by now, right? But it's energy that we can all share. It's infinite energy that we can all share. So, and I think if somebody is saying that they're feeling that person's headache, that person's pain, that person's condition, then they're doing something wrong. In the long term, that person is going to become ill themselves because they are depleting their own energy. Why do that when there is infinite energy to use all around us? Does that answer the question?
Yes, I would accept that. So, you've never experienced it?
No. Now, having said that, I'm trying to think now, but I can't remember, certainly in the last, say, 10 years. I may have done early on when I started to heal, you know, when I wasn't really getting a proper attunement or something like of that nature. But more like clairvoyance, yeah, that's more like it. There was a question mark in my mind, because sometimes in clairvoyance, when you're tuning in, you can go to somebody and start, you know, talking about their mother or, you know, whatever, and say, well, she's here because you're not feeling well at the moment, and you kind of sort of say, yeah, well, I don't want that, because they might give you a headache or whatever, because that's what the person has experienced, but that's nothing to do with healing. So.
Detecting auras, when we did it with John Barr's class, we did a session on auras, and we all found it relatively easy with a small dowsing rod, and we used the rosemary herb, we got the colours, and it was probably one of the simplest lessons we had, and there was probably more success with that than anything else, and we were all you know, centre. You know, we went away. Yeah, that was really good. To actually detect auras with your bare hands, isn't that rather similar to using your hands as sort of dowsing rods? In other words, chucking your dowsing rods away and feeling the energies with your bare hands. Because I get this sort of tingling in my fingers. I think it's probably something
Right.
under the shoulder.
Yeah.
But because you never know, do you?
That's
Well,
right.
well, it could be all sorts of things.
Yeah.
But it isn't what you're doing a step on from using something like a dowsing rod or a pendulum.
Sig Lonergan wrote, he's a dowser, wrote a book called Spiritual Dowsing, and he said there, I mentioned earlier, that it comes to some stage sometimes where you can throw away your dowsing rods and just sense it yourself, you know. But we are wonderfully complex human beings. I mean, we may be extraterrestrial beings for all I know. There's information coming in that way. But what it kind of works in different ways depending upon your focus. Because when you're using your hand, okay, it's an extension of yourself, it's a channel, a connection, a bridge. You are the catalyst between that body and that healing power. You're a catalyst, that's all. You know, you're actually doing it. Anybody stands up and says, oh, I'm a wonderful healer, they're forgetting, you know, both the patient, because you actually work with the process of healing by stimulating things. I do quite a lot of talking with my healing as well beforehand, to actually get the person to experience what it is that we are working together with as a team. So there's the person and me and a power. Whether you see healing guides, whatever, doesn't really matter. There is a healing power, which we call God, the great man, the cosmic, infinite, whatever, is working there. You're a catalyst, you're just channeling that energy. So actually when you're touching, you're not actually using your energy, you're using that energy, that infinite energy. Love is an infinite energy. It's we're strange people. We can turn love around to envy and hatred and all those sorts of things. It's actually the same energy. But all you're doing is retuning it in a different way to the obverse side of the coin, if you like. You know? And I'm desperately trying to stick to your the statement you made. And sometimes you can feel a particular vibration, a coldness or a heat. Sometimes you can see with X-ray vision. There are all sorts of different ways that you can sense what is wrong with that person. That answered your question.
Yes, I think so. I think obviously you're more tuned into the healing. We were just trying to experience and working out the shape of the aura.
Right, well the aura,
yes.
Sorry, I knew I'd missed something. Given a chance, I almost get away from it and come back to it. Aura is something that I attune to, not with my hands, but with my eyes. I can sense the aura when I'm healing somebody. Sense it. Feel it. Almost tangible. There. But when I'm looking at somebody, I automatically go from the general, think, yeah, this guy is really healthy looking, and then I start tuning into red and orange and so on, because that makes sense to me. Otherwise, the whole jumble of information, and you can pick bits out all over the place and get it wrong. So in that way, if I'm looking, I am really using my psychic sense. We've all got psychic sense. I'm using my psychic eye rather than my human eye, if you like, which is just changing the focus slightly to work in a different way.
So, I mean, do you see there's any, I think what you do is marvellous. I think the way you do it, the way you practice it, and the amount of energy you put into it, actually, not many of us have got that time or that concentration or that amount of energy to actually do it. What I'm looking at is doing it, in the outer sense and using tools to actually get there, rather than being quite so dynamic, because some of us aren't very dynamic. Some of us are totally lacking dynamic, but we all tend to use sort of tools to get there. And what I'm sensing is, can you use your dowsing rod, can we use the tools that we've already got, which we use, to achieve, to a degree, what you're achieving?
Yeah, but you see, that hints at other things as well.
Yeah.
Because you say, I mean, you're dynamic, you've got a very expressive voice, a very confident person, and so on. You could be helping with your dowsing or whatever tools are available to you to empower other people. You see, this is where, if you like, I am at. It's the empowerment, not of myself, but of other people. I was actually feeling pretty whacked out before I drove here, and I've only picked up energy since I've been here. So if people haven't got the energy or whatever, once you start the process, you get the energy. You say, it's like attracts like. You say, I'm ready. If you're open-minded enough, it comes there, you know. And so that you could be doing lots of things for people who are not as empowered as yourself. And yes, of course, you start with the tools that you know. Whether that is a pyramid crystal or a dowsing rod, and people work in different ways, or a tarot card. Nothing wrong with tarot, you know, it's been misrepresented. It's only a psychic focus, you know, it's all a psychic focus. You're actually doing that, not the cards, you know, there's no magic about the cards. You can read the tarot card in 20 different ways. But you're tuning into the person in relation to that card. You're tuning into the crystal, dowsing rod, the pendulum, whatever. All right? So,
You say you can see the aura, see the colour of the aura. Can you actually see the shape of the aura? As a, you could sit there and draw a line in it.
well, as a generality, yes. It's a strange thing looking at the aura, because if I look at the red first of all, I see red, because I look, then, you've got the general aura. You know, I said this chap was a confident person. He's got that in his general aura. But that is circulating around, and it's not doing anything for my interpretation of anything at all. So I look at specific centre, the red. I have to train myself to do it so it makes sense to me and the person I'm doing it for. So the red will appear as red, a red area of colour. It's like a fourth dimensional. Well, it is a fourth dimensional thing, because you're talking about a link between your physical and your etheric body. Therefore, it's not three-dimensional, it's four-dimensional. Yeah? So you're looking at that. And when you get tuned into that, then, because you're used to getting working, you're given symbols, tokens, all sorts of things, which again is looking at it, but then it's kind of, because it's the fourth dimension, you can be given symbols at that dimension. It's like, for example, if we weren't doing any of this work, and I was looking at something, and I said, I can see a fishing rod. You're obviously a fisherman. But actually, that's a human level, a psychic level. I say, I can see a fishing rod with you. It means that you have been fishing around for information. You've been trying to push back the barriers. You have cast that in different direction for different fish. But philosophically, those fish have kind of clashed with each other. And some you've had to discard, and some you're on board. Some there's great queries about, and so on. So sometimes we're given tokens or symbols because it's a shorthand way of explaining many things.
Yeah, you can see the fourth dimension, but can you see the other three? Height, width, depth.
Yeah.
Can you see an outline?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Does it change?
Yes. All the time.
Can
The general aura changes. My aura is changing here all the time. Depending who I'm communicating with, what words I'm using, how my mind focuses, and so on. Whether I want to go to the loo or not. I mean, it's all affecting my aura.
As you're talking to me, are you extending your aura out
Yes.
towards me?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's coming out further this way
Yeah.
than it was before.
Yeah. And I would say part of the tool for that, you're talking about tools, is the voice as well. Because you're not just only, you are, in a human way, projecting your own personality through your voice to that person. And hopefully you're using other forms of articulation as well to contact that person, to answer the question there, and to extend, in a way, the hand of friendship there. You know, to share something. You're sharing something.
Yeah.
I've noticed with clairvoyance, you see, with people who can't speak further than the first 2 rows, they find it very difficult in actually making a good contact with people beyond, you know, with reading. So the voice is a tool that helps you project many, many things to many people.
Yeah. If instead of talking to you, I was talking to somebody over there, there's Rodney. I'm a Rodney, there's another Rodney over there. If I talk to him, can you see my aura down over there?
Well, can you have a conversation and I'll tell you? The thing is, you know, the strange thing happened then. When you looked across there and you were talking across there, the communication between us just lowered. Straight away, went down like that. Which means to say, because you've got a different focus, you are projecting less towards me and more towards that. So you're picking up and sharing energy across there.
I accept that. I just wondered if you could actually see it. That's all. Can you see?
Probably not under this slide because it's a bit heavy. But what I could sense was the lowering of energy this way and the increase of energy and focus that way. And yeah, I could sense that, but not as colour, as energy. All right?
Following on from that, if I may, when you made contact with various members of the audience throughout the speaking first hour, what makes you contact with any particular one, like this lady? Do you sense something immediately from them?
No. That is, it's a thing that I have learned to do, that if you try to preempt something, you actually block it. If I was giving somebody some information and they were trying to help me, I would find it totally counterproductive. Because what happens in my mind is that, oh, they've told me that. If I feed that back to them, they'll think I'm making it up. So they stop the flow of truth, the flow of energy. So I think very often what happens when I'm just kind of, I don't know, mentally casting around somewhere, well, not even doing that, but I'm talking about healing or, you know, seeing the aura or whatever, I'm very often taken to people who actually need that information. It seems to be some kind of law that exists somewhere that, that very often I've just noticed, not because I've tried, I've just noticed that that person actually needed a considerable amount of help at that time in that person's life.
Is there a convert side to that, whereby you see people I don't want to contact those people? They're too difficult or they're
I've actually had a really good... I am serious, I had to work this through. So now I knew this gentleman had a very, not closed down, but very guarded aura. Very guarded indeed. And I had to work through the reason why, and I had to talk to him about it. And I really actually work very well with people that are challenging, if you like. Well, I've been on healing camps and things like that. I've really almost said it, I thought, give me the ones who are testing. Because the more that I am tested, the better it is. You know, because you're pushed and pushed and pushed, and it kind of, the area of knowledge that we're all grasping for seems to increase rather than decrease. But you have to live without fear to do that. If you are fearful, if I was fearful, this chap here is actually going to see through me and see that I'm a charlatan. You know, those kind of, you know, I mean, I've exaggerated to make a point. That if you live in fear in doing this work, forget it. I have seen mediums do it, and what they do is go for stereotype stuff, and they start moving things around because they've allowed themselves to kind of close down, to stop those channels of communication developing and keep going. They've got frightened. It may have started in a very human way. Maybe they went there and they had a cold. You know, that's quite a lot to deal with and still remain open-minded with 80 or 100 or 200 people.
Are you aware of auras generally with everyone who's...
Yes.
And do you find you have to close down, otherwise you're exhausted?
Well, I say generally, it's just a general sensing of that person's a bit grey, that one's unhealthy. But you don't really take it into mind. If you were open to this in detail all the time, you'd probably land up in a lunatic asylum. Well, they'd probably lock me up anyway, sooner or later. But, so yes, you have to find a way of... I've actually done some healing on people who have been like that. Not psychics necessarily, but they have just been too open emotionally, and they have just kind of given and let it drain away, lost their centeredness, lost their strength, and they really need to know that, hey, come on, spend some... This is the most common information I give to people is find some space for yourself, put yourself at the center of that space, forget other people. How can you help other people if you're not well? Grow in health.
Excuse me, do you find that different birth signs are more spiritual or can pick up these things better than others?
I haven't gone into that. I haven't gone into astrology and astronomy. I've actually tried it, and the books just kind of close on me, and that's kind of something. I've had lots of things opened up for me, but that haven't. Occasionally, I will get an Aquarian sign or the word Pisces or whatever that fits in, with a person, but I haven't worked with birth signs. Not that there's anything wrong with working in birth signs, I wouldn't want to demean them or anything like that, but that hasn't been my way.
Well, do you think that certain birth signs are more in tune with things like healing?
I think it more depends upon what people have learned from their lives. We are on a school of learning called Earth, and we all make mistakes, and we're allowed to make mistakes, I've made some whoppers, and you can either go on making the mistakes, or one can try and learn from the mistakes and redirect one's energies. I've got a long way to go, when they're putting me 6 feet under in a wooden box, I'm saying, yeah, but I haven't learned about that yet. I need to do that. The guy will be knocking the stake through my heart then, I reckon. All right? I really do. I think it is kind of, in a way, irresponsible and wrong. I'm Scorpio, and there are different... I mean, you can go to somebody and say, oh, the sting in the tail and all that jazz. Somebody else can say, the deepest... esoteric, meaningful, spiritual sign, and so I mean all that goes on as well. But I really think that the people who move are many and varied. Some are quite charismatic, some are very quiet. Hopefully they've all got some kind of humility, because if you haven't got humility, it's not, it doesn't work anyway. Not at the highest possible truth centre that you can aim for. It's got to be that in the forefront of your mind all the time. Seems to me.
Astrology is also a makeup of the tonal body, and not just the sun, isn't it? So just consider only the sun sign and consider somebody's personality.
Well, yeah, I mean, you obviously share the sun and the moon and all that as well, yeah. But I am very limited in my knowledge on that, so I can't, I can't. Well, there we go. Linda at the back. How are we doing for time? Right.
Can I just ask one more? Distance. You were very much zoned in on the lady with the colour. Quite a distance away, but you saw her very clearly. Does distance actually, is it easy to do at a distance? Obviously, if you have somebody come to see you, they're right up to you. But you can see, obviously, very clearly from quite a distance. So distance is no problem.
No, it doesn't make any difference at all. I suppose if I was nearsighted, then no, I don't think that would make a difference. I mean, there have been people who've been totally blind and have done brilliant aura readings, totally sensitive, both close and further away. So I'm kind of testing things through as I'm talking here. No, it doesn't really make any difference at all. In fact, that chap sits on the next series. For example, like general aura, I can say, well, actually, you could do with a little bit of energy. He seems to have been pushing himself a little bit, and he'd probably be glad to get home and get a good night's sleep. In fact, his sleep pattern has been a bit erratic lately because there's been something on his mind. And then I kind of feel, does that make sense to you? Something like that.
Can you do it over the phone?
Pardon?
Could you read somebody's aura over the phone?
Over the phone?
Yeah.
No, it works differently. It works telepathically then. You're talking about a different use of the mind in telepathic. There's a friend of mine who's in financial management, and he phoned me up and said, I've had 2 jobs offered to me. And I said, oh yes. And she said, this job is da-di-da-di-da, and this job is da-di-da-di-da. And I said, yeah. And she said, which one shall I choose? And I was just about to say, I can't tell you that. And then I did a flashback on what was going on in my mind in a micro nanosecond, whatever. And was that the first one I had sensed really opening. I saw seagulls flying, the sunshine, all of that going on. And in the second one, I felt really grey and closed in, and I didn't like the feeling. And so it's very easy to dismiss the way that we all think. You know, we all think in those kind of versions. But I just happen to have the discipline, because I'm kind of doing it day after day, to be able to recapture that. And she actually went for the first job and was quite happy there. But I was quite happy to dismiss the fact that, don't talk to me about that. I don't do those sorts of things, until I backtracked and said, well actually I do. But it's nice to be open-minded, to be able to dismiss your own stuff as well, to test it through. I really, in my own way, I test the stuff I do as far as possible. So that, you know, because if I'm doing things, I want it to be as good as it can be using me as a vehicle. No doubt somebody else can be a different vehicle and do it better and all the rest of it, but I've got to do the best I can. It's like a bit earlier when I said, well, actually when you're doing healing, it isn't a game. It isn't light-hearted. You may be sharing somebody's life who's got serious disease, and you may just be able to help them turn a corner, come to terms, etc., etc. So it's an awful lot of responsibility to do that. Final question.
What level of illumination?
2 questions. Say yours and yours. Pardon?
What level of illumination assists you with seeing auras?
I don't know. I don't know about levels of illumination. All I know is that whatever work I do, a lot of it is quite covert. And I don't mean hidden, but I mean it's very low profile. I'm never going to be a Matthew Manning who gets up on stage, because I think for me, I tune into the money energy rather than the healing energy or whatever. I still make kind of mistakes in my own kind of personal life. I try not to. I do my best for other people. I link in with guides at different dimensional levels. But that's kind of another story, really. That gets into cosmic stuff and what are guides and all that. But I do kind of link in very easily with all
If
that.
you shut those lights out, would you find it more easy to see auras, or more difficult if they get much higher?
It's a question of balance. I know in one hall I used to do clairvoyance, and they had these really hard, uncovered strip lights. And I used to ask them to switch off the back 2 strip lights, because it just hurt my eyes. I mean, when you're using psychic vision, when you're sensitizing yourself to all that, it just does. You just seem to have, that's far too much light. It's equivalent to, actually, I was saying to somebody about, if you're meditating, find a quiet space, make sure, no, that doesn't happen. And that, on a visual level, seems to be, you know, the equivalent. That noise level seems to be equivalent to that light level there. This is okay. Some of these lights are a bit intrusive, and but I'm okay. This seems to be fine to me. All right. I thought you were talking about different sort of illumination there. You might as well figure that out.
very interested that you didn't sort of emphasise or want to name particular ailments in your general approach to healing.
Yeah.
I think you feel that's very important to sort of to set the healing process going without concentrating on naming.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's quite interesting that somebody can come about their arthritis and really it's about their husband or a child who left home or what have you. It's tuning into this honesty pathway and getting people just to say what it's really like, to kind of share that with you so that you actually get to the truth of the matter. What was your question? I keep going off.
Well, I said, you know, what degree of importance you put on not naming ailments.
Yeah, some people were. It's actually illegal to diagnose. It is illegal, and it's unethical. Some people you can work with under circumstances where you can share stuff with them. It is possible, for example, without being unethical, to say to a person with a heart condition, have you had your BP, your blood pressure, and check up with your doctor lately, and da-di-da, and you know, just gently nudge them in that area while the healing's going on without being unethical.